Hello and welcome to your MyInspirationForLife.com coaching session. It seems every day there is something spewed out across the airwaves or in the newspapers that indicates we should live in fear. Fear the economy, fear gas prices, fear that country over there, fear taxes, fear global warming, fear global cooling, fear the Democrats, fear the Republicans, fear the killer flu. Man, one might wonder if we should ever even get out of bed. Oh, fear laziness. Anyway, there certainly are concerns that need to be dealt with, and we all need to get involved and do our part to contribute positively to our world and the people in it. However, I think you would agree with me that simply being afraid of all of these things can paralyze you if you let it, and lead us to do nothing. Let us acknowledge that fear has always been a part of human history. Back in 1933, when Franklin D. Roosevelt was sworn into office as the 32nd President of the United States, we were experiencing a very dark time in America. The country was in the worst part of the Depression. Unemployment was at 25%. Banks were failing. Family savings accounts were wiped out as a result. Farmers were losing their land to foreclosures. People were hurting everywhere and experiencing a great deal of fear. President Roosevelt, with a desire to reassure the people of America, uttered words that have now become famous and worth reflecting on again, especially today. I quote, "Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. In every dark hour of our national life, a leadership of frankness and vigor has met with that understanding and support of the people themselves, which is essential to victory." End of quote. The part of his quote that stands out for me, and what I hope we all understand, is when he said, "Fear paralyzes needed efforts." You see, the antidote for fear is action. Yet fear even makes us afraid of doing something that might be beneficial for us. We just simply can't allow fear to paralyze us. John F. Kennedy said, "There are risks and costs to a program of action, but there are far less than the long-range risks and cost of comfortable inaction."
Sometimes, for me anyway, and maybe for you, it's helpful to realize that we're not the only one that has this challenge or that challenge. You're not odd or broken when you experience fear. You're not a scaredy cat when you're afraid. In fact, fear is part of human nature, and it always has been. For example, in 60 BC, Lucretius wrote, "For as children tremble and fear everything in the blind darkness, so we in the light sometimes fear what is not more to be feared than the things children in the dark hold in terror and imagine will come true." Michael Montaigne wrote in 1580, "The thing I fear most is fear." Francis Bacon said in 1623, "Nothing is terrible except fear itself." And the Duke of Wellington in 1831 commented, "The only thing I'm afraid of is fear." So I guess some good news about fear is that we've had plenty of good company. Everyone fears failing. Before stepping out of their comfort zone and facing a challenging situation, everyone is afraid at some level. In fact, if you tell me you have no fears, I will assume one of two things. Either you're too cautious and have never stepped out of your comfort zone, or you are totally out of touch with your feelings. Great performers, athletes, and professionals in any field have expressed feelings of nausea, nervousness, dry mouth, and heart-pounding fear before going on stage, taking the field, or speaking before a group. Here's one specific example. Edwin Moses, Olympic gold medalist and former world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles, who went on for years without a defeat, says that each time he races, it feels like I'm being led to my execution. So what makes some people willing to take action even when they're feeling afraid? The answer is the potential outcomes outweigh the fear of doing. They have a future worth fighting for, big enough reasons to move forward and step out of their comfort zones. They basically think beyond the fear. Heroes and cowards feel exactly the same fear, but like any successful person, heroes just react to fear differently.
Our hope with this session on fear is that you will understand that when you decide to overcome your fear, there is no choice but to confront fear and turn anxiety into excitement and action. Eleanor Roosevelt said it best when she said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face." And consider this, if you run from fear, if you deny its existence, it will chase you, track you down, and grow in size with each step. I love the example of a Southwest Native American tribe as they taught their children the importance of facing their fears and looking them in the eye. The story they relate goes like this. Fear is like a 60-foot, two-headed snake, as big or round as a ponderosa pine. Avoid it, and the snake grows larger and comes closer, rearing its ugly, huge head, ready to strike. But if you look the snake in the eye, it sees its own reflection, gets scared, and shrinks away. One of the most positive things about confronting your fear is that you will discover that the reality of the situation is almost never as bad as fear makes it seem. And even when your fears do come true, they are usually not as bad as you had imagined and can lead to new levels of confidence.
Now, what can you do to handle fear instead of getting handled by fear? Number one, admit you have fears. Everyone does. Once you leave denial, you are in a better position to face and overcome your fears. Number two, recognize where your fears come from. Most of your fears are not based in reality, but on feelings. Some define fear as false expectations appearing real. Did you know that studies show that 95% of what we fear is baseless? And number three, realize that you can't develop courage without fear. Welcome the opportunity to gain confidence as you face and defeat the fear that has been haunting you. And four, starve the problem and feed the opportunity. This is a great concept. However, with fear, it is easy to do just the opposite, and to feed the problem, your fear, and starve the opportunity, your dreams and goals. Someone once wrote, "Two natures beat within my breast. The one is foul, the other blessed. The one I love, the other I hate. The one I feed will dominate." We have provided an awesome exercise to assist you in your efforts to confront and overcome your fears on your action guide. So print out your action guide, take action, and feel good about what you'll accomplish in the next week or two. Until next time, this is Doug and Dwight saying, always be positive, be inspired, and serve others.